Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC have filed fresh charges against the embattled spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party, Olisa Metu. The new charges relate to the allegations that the PDP spokesman tore his statement while in EFCC custody. At the resumed hearing on Thursday, Metu pleaded not guilty on a 2-count charge bordering on destruction of evidence.
Offences, 2-count charge before the FCT High Court, incidentally before the Chief Judge of the FCT, and the charge was read and he pleaded not guilty. The case was further adjourned to the 26th of February for the hearing of the case, and then the issue of bail was deferred. So we intend to apply for his bail, and the offense is bailable, attracts a penalty of just 2 years. So we intend to apply for his bail, and then that will be subject to the disposition of the court, because it's entirely discretionary on the part of the court. He's not a prisoner. It's a blatant infringement of his rights, and it is wrong. And when someone who ought to know consistently does something that is wrong, then it gives you some cause for concern. We intend to take that up with the authorities. Perhaps their superiors might not know, but it's all over the place, it's all over the news. So we expect that by the next appearance that they would have called their subordinates to order. Well, the issues are not exactly the same, although the charge here is under the Penal Code, and then the charge before the Federal High Court is an issue of financial crimes, so they're quite different. Well, according to them, but I see I cannot comment so much into the merit of the case because we haven't started the case and it's not proper for us to go into the details. But there are 2 charges arising from, according to them, what transpired while he was under detention in the EFCC. So as the trial progresses, then we'll see how that unfolds.
A federal high court in Abuja stalled the trial of the former National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki retired due to the absence of his lawyers. Dasuki standing trial for alleged diversion of 19 billion naira. At the resumed trial on Thursday, the judge, Justice Hussein Baba Yusuf, announced that the trial had been postponed following a letter he received from Dasuki's lawyers, which stated that they would be absent at the trial. He then adjourned the trial till January 22nd, 2016.
And nothing really happened rather than just all the defendants were in court, including the Colonel Dasuki. His counsel wrote letters to the fact that they will not be able to attend today's proceedings because of the election matter. So that is what happened, and the court had to adjourn it tomorrow.
Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Chukwu has directed all officers of the Nigerian Army who have not declared their assets to do so immediately. Spokesperson for the Army, Sani Usman, in a statement quoted the Army Chief as giving the directive on Wednesday during a conference with principal staff officers and directors serving at the Army headquarters. According to that statement, the Chief of Army Staff declared his own assets as soon as he was appointed as commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force in May 2015 and also on his appointment as Chief of Army Staff in July 2015. Copies of both are with the Code of Conduct Bureau. The Army says the directive became necessary considering the fact that all military officers are having presidential commission and are public servants. Nigeria's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says support from both the media and civil society organizations is vital for the commission to succeed in conducting supplementary elections. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu said this while speaking to members of civil society organizations and the media. Earlier, INEC revealed that a total of 97 elections in the country were nullified by the appeal court. Out of that number, Yakubu said the body intends to conduct 82 elections before the end of the first quarter of this year. The elections will hold between now and March 2016.
As always, I want to recognize civil society and the media as very critical partners in the consolidation of our democratic process. and the management of our election. Many of you have accumulated vast practical experience and knowledge of the electoral processes, from the registration of voters to logistics to conduct of elections, declaration of results, pre- and post-election litigation, and more. Although you have no candidates in elections, you are always in the field, irrespective of distance, terrain, and risk. The media not only report events as they occurred, but you also run comments and analysis for public understanding. The civil society organizations do the same, but in addition avail us of very useful reports of your observations and recommendations. I want to assure you that we appreciate your partnership and support, and for our part, we shall continue to consult with you and share information and ideas in order to strengthen the electoral process. By now, I'm sure you are all aware that 82 elections as of today, and still counting, have been nullified by the courts. On Monday, when we had our consultative meeting with the RECs, then the figure was 81 elections. But by yesterday, it jumped to 82 and still counting. That is the elections nullified by the courts of appeal. But there were other elections upturned by the same courts, and INEC was directed to issue certificates of return to the rightful winners. That is a situation where the petitioners were returned victors. And so far, we have issued 15 such certificates of return to those declared rightful winners by the courts. So if you add the 15 for which we issued certificates and the 82 upturned by the appeal court so far, 97 elections have been either upturned or outrightly nullified. What it means is that the first quarter of this year will witness a mini general election. Because they are time-bound, we have to conduct the elections according to the text of the judgments, but for a maximum of 90 days. Some are less, but we have to conduct the elections within 90 days. So this will take us so far to the upper limit of the middle of March. So in the next 2.5 months, we'll conduct 82 elections. The specter of violence is worrisome to the Commission, and we need to find ways out of it. Peace pacts were signed, and before the governorship election in Kogi on November the 21st, I led a team of national commissioners to Kogi and addressed the stakeholders, and they all reaffirmed their commitment to the peace pact signed earlier. And 5 days to the last election, governorship election in Bayelsa, we did the same. We went to Nagoa, and all the politicians reaffirmed their commitment to the peace accord. But we all know what happened. So we want to know from our own experience, how can we strengthen this peace pact so that they will have the impact that we all desire. The second point I would like to raise in relation to electoral violence is our security deployment. We would like your advice and input on how best we can strengthen security deployment so that we can achieve the desired result. But for us as a commission, we also believe that until and unless this nation decisively deal with electoral offenders, this cycle is likely to continue.
The two chambers of the federal lawmakers in Nigeria, the Senate and the House of Representatives, have commenced debate on the 2016 appropriation bill proposed by President Muhammadu Buhari. The president had earlier this week formally adjusted the 6.08 trillion naira 2016 budget and presented the amended copy to the National Assembly. The National Assembly accepted the amended budget and pledged to pass the budget before the end of February. At plenary on Wednesday, debate on the budget followed party lines, with the All Progressives Congress senators speaking in support of the budget, while the PDP counterparts expressed suspicion about the workability of the fiscal policy. The Director-General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, Peter Jack, has been suspended. Jack was suspended for misconduct unbecoming of a public officer of his cadre. A statement from the Office of Nigeria's Minister of Communications, Adamawa, said. The statement added that the Minister of Communications has approved the suspension, which takes effect from January 20th, 2016. The committee also said allegations of financial misdemeanor against Jack would require a more detailed professional auditing of NITDA's finances. Meanwhile, Vincent Olatunji has been named as the Acting Director General of NITDA. Nigeria's police force has taken a step towards the restoration of civil authority in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe, some of the states liberated from Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast. A statement issued by police spokesperson Olabisi Kolawole in Abuja said the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of Department of Operations, Sotoyin Wakama, was deployed to move with a team of intelligence officers to the area for need assessment and other scoping activities. The Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, stated that the police is still carrying out a scoping mission aimed at relieving the military of some duties for law and order to be restored in that part of the country. The IGP noted that guaranteeing the safety of persons and property and restoring public trust in the maintenance of order and stability remain key in re-establishing a working society after violent conflicts. He therefore urged the public to give maximum cooperation to public officers and other law enforcement agencies. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll look at other stories. Please stay tuned.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on TV360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back to TV360 News Now. Following a decline in the naira, ratings agency Standard & Poor's on Thursday said Nigeria will have to devalue its currency. The agency said it expected this to happen at some stage in 2016 and in gradual adjustments. Ravi Bhatia, Director of Sovereign and International Public Finance at Standard & Poor's, said a devaluation would only go some way to improve Nigeria's situation. Investors have seen a devaluation of the naira as long overdue for Africa's largest economy and biggest oil exporter, which has been battered by the tumble in crude oil prices. Well, despite growing pressure, Nigeria's government has kept the naira pegged at around 198 to the dollar on the official interbank market while restricting access to dollars. Oil prices succumbed to concerns of a supply overhang on Thursday, erasing modest early gains. This comes as analysts said a persistent global surplus of crude would keep pressuring the market. Oil prices erased early gains on Thursday, with U.S. crude trading at $28.01 a barrel. International benchmark Brent was down 30 cents at $27.58 a barrel. Meanwhile, Venezuela has requested that OPEC hold an emergency meeting to discuss steps to prop up oil prices, although delegates from other members of the oil cartel said such a meeting was unlikely. Sierra Leone has confirmed a new case of the deadly Ebola virus. The new case is its second in less than a week, marking a further setback in efforts to end the deadly West African Ebola outbreak. The two-year epidemic has killed more than 11,300 people. Health Ministry spokesperson Sidi Yaya Tunis described the new patient as a 38-year-old woman who is a relative who helped care for the earlier victim, Maria Jallo. Jallo died from the disease on January 12th and tested positive for Ebola posthumously. Russian President Vladimir Putin probably approved the operation by Russian officials to kill former FSB spy Alexander Litvinenko. A detailed UK inquiry has concluded. Litvinenko died aged 43 in London in 2006, days after being poisoned in a hotel with radioactive polonium-210. Retired High Court Judge Robert Owen, who conducted the inquiry, wrote that he was sure that two former Russian officials poisoned the ex-spy. He had fled to the UK in 2000, claiming persecution, and was granted asylum. He gained British citizenship several years later. In the years before his death, he had worked as a writer and journalist, becoming a strong critic of the Kremlin. Now, moving on to sports. Now, Nigeria President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday hosted the victorious Golden Eagles teams of 1985 and 2015 at the conference hall of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The president also hosted other sport heroes who had done the country proud in various sports competitions from May 2015 till date. The other sport heroes honored at the event are men and women basketballers, powerlifters, World Scrabble champion Wellington Jikere, and officials, Nigerian boxer Olarewaju Duro-Dola, athletes and officials, and the Under-23 African Cup of Nations winners. Napoli coach Maurizio Sarri has been given a 2-game ban and a €20,000 fine for the homophobic insults he aimed at the Inter Milan manager Roberto Mancini during the Italian Cup quarter-final. The pair clashed during Tuesday night's Italian Cup match between both sides. Mancini was sent to the stands after a fiery confrontation. The former Manchester City manager says the Napoli coach used homophobic words during the heated exchange and has demanded that authorities investigate the incident. The authorities have now investigated the matter and banned the Napoli coach. Spanish giants Real Madrid have been crowned the world's richest club for the 11th year in a row, according to Deloitte Football Money League ranking. The 10-time European are closely followed by arch-rival Barcelona and 20-time English champions Manchester United in second and third places respectively, with French club Paris Saint-Germain and German champion Bayern Munich rounding up the top 5. The top 20 ranking is largely dominated by Premier League clubs, with 9 English clubs sneaking into the top 20. Manchester City have been ranked in 6th position, while Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool were ranked 7th, 8th and 9th respectively. That's all we have on News Now today. We thank you very much for watching. I am Thelma Okoro.